Welcome everyone! In this video, we are in the Retro Cup, showcasing another very powerful team featuring Arctibax. Now, these battles were submitted to the channel by Uncle Instinct 91. Uncle Instinct 91 was kind enough to share these battles with us, and they are very interesting, to say the least. It's a very strong team for the Retro Cup. And Uncle Instinct does have a Twitch channel, so do go give him a follow on Twitch at FilthyCasuals91, link in the description. And without further ado, big thanks again to Uncle Instinct 91 for the submission, and let's dive right in. Arctibax leading the charge in terms of dragons, in terms of being effective in this Retro Cup meta. But here we go, Froslass lead. This is really good for Lantern, as Lantern does resist this fast move pressure with its water typing, and they are forced to go for the more expensive Shadow Ball, but they're running Crunch. Very interesting. They don't get the attack drop, and they pivot into a Confusion Cresselia, so very interesting. Uncle Instinct gonna look to get off a Thunderbolt, chip, and dip into Arctibax. Very interesting play. Perhaps reading that they were looking to bait out something such as Gligar for Froslass to farm down. So, gonna shield up and look to, I would imagine, go for a Dragon Claw here. Yep, that's all he really needs to take out this Cresselia at this point. And I would imagine the opponent takes the shield advantage, and they do come back in with Froslass. But Uncle Instinct has the Icy Wind here. And there's a very interesting strategy with Icy Wind to get those debuffs off in this Retro Cup meta. And gonna actually double shield, likely to debuff their last remaining Pokemon as, oh, but they don't stick around for that. That's exactly what they're reading. The opponent does save the low health Froslass to clear a potential debuff. Now, seeing that Arctibax has Icy Wind, they pivot into a Licky Tongue and gonna meet this with Gligar here. So this is generally not a good matchup for Gligar, although did get that guaranteed Icy Wind attack drop, but it's still going to be a bit of a struggle up against the very bulky Licky Tongue to get through that shield and land some meaningful damage here on it. But Gligar is generally up to the task. Very, very solid Pokemon, as many of us may all know by now. They are just going to Body Slam spam here and going to go for the dig here. Has to be careful of a potential catch. So Switch Clock on their end should just about be coming up, and they do try to throw in the Froslass. They did not time that very well. Froslass gets Wing Attack down, and Gligar able to get to the Aerial Ace, and we are saying bye-bye to the Licky Tongue. Holy smokes. Gligar putting in the work to close the game strong. That's going to be a good game. Big thanks to Uncle Instinct 91 yet again, and do go check out his Twitch channel, link in the description. And here we go, Talonflame. That's a brilliant lead for Lantern, but they safe swap into a Poliwrath. So gonna meet this with Gligar, and this is a Mudshot Poliwrath, so they will get to these charge moves at a much faster rate than with the Community Day counter. So very interesting moveset on the Poliwrath here. Gonna go for the Aerial Ace, of course. And I do want to point out how Gligar tanks that Icy Wind very well. This is why I generally prefer the non-Shadow, because you can tank ice damage way better than the Shadow, and you still put out plenty of damage as a non-Shadow. You can generally win the same matchups as the Shadow, only you can tank that double super effective damage much better. But yeah, this Poliwrath, way too spammy, just going to cut the losses, take the shield advantage, and look to come in with Lantern. And I do imagine farm all the way down with the Lantern here. They are going to get off one final move, but it's all resisted here coming from the Poliwrath. And yeah, going to fully commit to that farm down, and they could bring in that Talonflame if they dare onto this loaded Lantern. They do not. They know better. They actually come in with a Credilli. It's a very interesting, very strong pick for this Retro Cup meta. And gonna actually stay in a little bit. Very interesting. Likely to get them to dump some energy. As this does have access to Rock Slide. And you don't want to have to tank that or give up a shield on Arctibax here. So they are going to throw here. This is likely the Grass Knot does KO. And now it's all up to Arctibax, up a shield. You have to try and farm this thing all the way down, and Credilli does have some very nice bulk. So But the Dragon Breath with Stab do add up, and that was a Stone Edge, my friends. Holy smokes, what a shield there. And Arctivax does have the energy lead on this Talonflame, throws with brilliant timing because he is at the back-to-back and wins the CMP tie. Phenomenal knowledge of mechanics there by Uncle Instinct, putting in the work on Talon, and should survive a neutral flame charge here. Perhaps Fly would have been the play from them. Might have actually KO'd, so maybe a misplay there, but gets the farm down nonetheless. Holy smokes. What an endgame by Uncle Instinct. Arctivax puts in the work. Good game to them. This Arctivax team really puts in the work in the Retro Cup. And here we go. Altaria lead. This is about where you want to see it if you're encountering one. But they safe swap a Whiscash and going to align Arctivax onto this Whiscash here. A bit of a core breaker Whiscash here. So this will be very interesting. Going to let the first Mud Bomb go. And they're already at another Mud Bomb. Arctivax can survive this, but would risk getting farmed down. So going to shield this here and look to go for the Icy Wind to take a little bit of the sting off of this damage output from the Whiscash here. And they do shield, so they're going to make a play to control the alignment here. Very interesting play by the opponent. Did land that Icy Wind, got the guaranteed attack drop, so that one does not KO and will make it to another Icy Wind here. Going to be interesting to see if the opponent wants to let this go or not. They do not. They want that alignment, and they are going to give up the final shield to do that. So forced to bring in the Gligar here. The Whiscash is severely compromised on its attack stat, and they go Mud Bomb there, so that does no damage, and they will not make it to another move in time. Probably should have perhaps committed to a Scald, but here we are back in with the Altaria on the opposite end. Gonna chip with an Aerial Ace, and perhaps look to catch. Not quite a catch, but they are going to throw energy nonetheless here. They throw the Sky Attack, very interesting. And they come in with a Vigoroth here. So very interesting play going for the resisted Sky Attack on the Altaria. That did not look like a catch as they threw several Dragon Breaths after coming in with the Lantern. But they do have a Vigoroth here. Gonna look to go for the Body Slam, and Uncle Instinct 91 still holding on to a shield advantage here. They're gonna throw before getting KO'd here, but this is just gonna give Uncle Instinct more farm on this Gligar here. I think Gligar up a shield is primed to put in work here. Gonna go for the Aerial Ace, not wanting to tank a very hard-hitting Body Slam from this Vigoroth. The Aerial Ace does KO, and Uncle Instinct should be in a good spot here. Thoroughly outpaces the Altaria. The Altaria is energy dry. Gonna go for this Aerial Ace here. It will not KO, but Uncle Instinct will easily make it to yet another Aerial Ace. And this will be just about all she wrote for the opponent here. We say bye-bye to the Altaria. And Gligar left standing, or I should say gliding in the end with a Shield to spare. Good game to them. So far, so good with this Arctivax team in the Retro Cup, courtesy of Uncle Instinct 91. And here we go. Dugong lead, fairly neutral. Of course, Dugong can definitely fight back with the threat of super effective drill runs here, and does slightly outpace to those drill runs. Going to give up an early shield here on this opening matchup. Could have survived that, but they pivot into a Chestnut, seeing the shield, likely reading that the team here might be weak to a Dugong in the back. So they do draw out the Gligar. This is a solid matchup. Does tank the Frenzy Plant quite well, and is able to get off an Aerial Ace here. I would imagine the opponent takes the shield advantage, lets that go, and could easily just farm this Gligar down, but just can't quite get the dig off. Uncle Instinct does not get new mechanic, and that is very unfortunate. Would have been very nice to either pressure a shield or get that dig off. So very, very unfortunate there. But does have loaded energy on Lantern, and the opponent shields the Thunderbolt. Very, very rough here. Gonna have to shield the Drill Run, but they bait with an Icy Wind, adding insult to injury. That is brutal here. Holy smokes. Gonna try and return the favor with a bait of his own here with a surf, and does get the shields down on the opponent's end. But they are at a potential drill run here, and this will not KO, but will be doing some meaningful super effective damage on the Lantern. Gonna bank the energy to clear the debuff and rip off the band-aid, hope for the best with Arctivax here, but gonna have to tank an Icy Wind in the process. That is neutral, but does quite a bit of neutral damage, and they've got an Alolan Marowak in the back here. Very interesting. Gonna go for the Icy Wind here to lower that attack on these neutral yet buffed fire spins here. Maybe straight Dragon Claw would have been the play, but it would have been an uphill battle either way. The opponent is at back-to-back Bone Clubs, and this is not trending in the right direction. That's going to KO the Arctivax, and AWAC does win CMP tie, does have the back-to-back Bone Clubs. Very unfortunate. Just couldn't quite get that done, but very, very well played by both trainers in this battle. Good games. Big thanks to Uncle Instinct 91 again for the battle submission, and again, check him out on Twitch, usually streaming on Sundays on Twitch, link in the description. But here we go, Lantern on Lantern action here in this opening battle. Although the opponent's Lantern is running Water Gun, which means that the Spark Lantern on our end has a significantly better matchup here in this mirror. So they do let the Thunderbolt go, and gonna give up an early shield here on the opposing Thunderbolt against Spark Lantern. Has a much better matchup here, as of course with Spark doing neutral damage with the fast move pressure and taking resisted from theirs. Gonna let this Thunderbolt go, does survive that quite well, and this is within surf range, is at the back-to-back, and I would imagine the opponent's just gonna cut the losses and let this go. They do take the shield advantage, and likely going to look to realign with what they have. They've got a Charge-a-Bug, so interesting. Gonna go for the Surf, and I think generally you can go Surf in most circumstances, as they are virtually identical in terms of damage per energy. And gonna actually pivot into Arctivax. Very interesting play. Sometimes it pays to just let that opponent get that farm, because especially knowing that you have something like a Gligar for this thing, because now you have to give up shields on the Arctivax, and they have a Licky. Still holding on to both of their shields. Gonna go for the Icy Wind to debuff it, and the Licky will be able to KO with a Body Slam despite the Icy Wind nerf. So Body Slam should KO even though debuffed here. But Arctivax has put in tremendous work getting the Licky to half health. Gligar does have some work to do here. Lantern does have energy stored. Gonna look to go straight Aerial Ace here in this matchup with shields up. You just gotta get the damage and put the pressure on. And gonna look to combo play. As I mentioned, Lantern did have energy stored here. Looking to put intense pressure on this Licky Tongue here, grabbing that final shield. And I don't think this energy will really matter. They pivot into the Charge-a-Bug, giving the Gligar precious farm. Oh, might be a bit of a misplay, but they had to clear that debuff. So understandable by them, but Gligar is just going to farm all the way down and has near 100 energy here. Going to go back-to-back Aerial Ace. That's the safer play. As a dig, might have KO'd, but would have likely fallen short as well. So just going to go with the safer back-to-back Aerial Ace. Survives that neutral Power Whip and has Aerial Ace number 2 locked in, loaded here. Gligar putting in work yet again. We say bye-bye to the Licky. And oh my gosh, Gligar has been putting in work on this team here, closing strong. Good game, well played. These battles have been a ton of fun to watch, and this team is quite strong for the Retro Cup. And here we go, both shiny Lanterns in the mirror here on the lead. You'll love to see it. Both running Spark here. And gonna look to give up that early shield. That's a trend we've been seeing on the Lantern mirror matchups here on the lead. And gonna look to go for a Thunderbolt of his own here, and it'll be interesting to see if this Lantern wants to shield. They do not. So giving up that early shield to fight hard to win this lead can be beneficial, even though you do have a very strong answer in Arctivax in the back. as a Lantern, not the best for Gligar. It does get to those surfs at a faster rate than you can get to the digs. They have an Altaria, pivots into Arctibax, draws out a Vigoroth here. So very interesting to see from the opponent. They are going to go for that Body Slam, going to let that go, and look to debuff it with an Icy Wind with Stab, newly added for Season 17 to Arctibax here, and grabs a shield from the Vigoroth here. So I would imagine come in with Gligar here. That's precisely what he does, and it'll be interesting to see what the opponent wants to do. They are at quite a bit of energy here. They did farm all the way down. They go for the Rock Slide. I think you just want to go straight Body Slam if you're the Vigoroth. That's a bit of a waste of energy. And going to fire back with an Aerial Ace here. Grabbing the final shield from the Vigoroth. And now I think you just let all this go. Save the shield for Lantern, which is still relatively healthy. And that Altaria is still very healthy, basically at full health. Gonna go for the Aerial Ace here. That KOs and should make it to another Aerial Ace to chip this Altaria here. And then I would imagine pivot into Lantern to not give the Altaria more farm than necessary. That's precisely what Uncle Instinct does. And gonna shield this, just a Sky Attack, but you wanna maintain the health. You have to shield something. You have one left. You might as well use it. Does make it to the Thunderbolt, of course. And this will not KO, but should be able to spark down in time. And does spark down the Altaria. Holy smokes. This team puts in tremendous work in the Retro Cup. That about wraps it up, my friends. That's the team. Puts in tremendous work as we saw in these battles. Phenomenal team comp here for the Retro Cup. Big thanks once again to Uncle Instinct. Was kind enough to share these battles with us. Uncle Instinct 91 does stream on Twitch, I should say, under Filthy Casuals 91. Please do go check him out on Twitch. Definitely give him a follow there. Usually streams on Sundays on Twitch. Link in the description. And again, big thanks once again to Uncle Instinct for the battle submission. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.